The Forbidden Lesson, Chapter 1 After Hours. The campus always felt different after dark, quieter, hungrier. Sophia Bennett stood alone in Lecture Hall 3B, the fluorescent lights humming faintly overhead, casting sharp white lines across polished wood desks and the broad sweep of the chalkboard. Her heels echoed against the tiled floor as she paced, tablet clutched to her chest, pulse hammering harder than it had any right to. She had no business being here at 8:45 on a Thursday night. And yet, her reflection in the darkened window barely looked like the composed graduate assistant she pretended to be during the day. Her dark hair, usually twisted into a disciplined low bun, now fell loose down her back in heavy waves, brushing the curve of her waist. A fitted black blouse hugged her torso, tucked into a pencil skirt that clung to her hips with dangerous precision. The slit at the back was modest on paper. In practice, it made every step feel deliberate. She told herself she dressed this way because she had stayed late grading papers. She knew that was bullshit. The door at the back of the lecture hall opened. The sound was quiet, controlled, not rushed, not apologetic. Sophia's stomach flipped anyway. Adrian Moreau stepped inside and shut the door behind him with a soft click. He did not look like a man who should be teaching political ethics to a room full of undergraduates. He looked like trouble, dressed in charcoal and restraint. Tall, broad-shouldered, every inch of him built with the kind of controlled strength that came from discipline rather than vanity. His dark suit jacket was tailored to fit his frame precisely, so the fabric, pulling cleanly across a chest that strained subtly against the white button-down beneath it. His tie had been loosened just slightly, the top button undone, exposing the strong column of his throat. His hair, black and thick, was brushed back from his face, though a few rebellious strands fell forward near his temple. His jaw was sharp, dusted with faint stubble that made him look less like a professor and more like a man who had somewhere better to be than grading term papers. His eyes found her instantly, steel gray, focused, unapologetically aware. "You asked me to meet you," he said. His voice was low, smooth, threaded with a French accent that wrapped around syllables like silk over steel. Sophia swallowed. "Yes." The word felt fragile in the cavernous space. He did not move farther into the room. He simply stood there, jacket still on, hands loosely at his sides, watching her the way he did in class when she challenged him on a theory. Assessing. Measuring. "You said it was urgent," he added. Her pulse climbed higher. "It is." He stepped down the center aisle slowly, shoes silent against the floor. Each movement was deliberate, unhurried, like he had nowhere else to be. Like he was not aware of the way her heart was battering her ribs. When he reached the front row, he stopped. Close enough that she could see the faint scar near his chin. Close enough to notice the way his forearms flexed subtly as he removed his jacket and draped it neatly over the back of a chair. He rolled his sleeves up once, then again. The movement exposed strong forearms dusted lightly with dark hair, veins tracing just beneath the surface of his skin. "Speak," he said. Sophia's mouth went dry. She had rehearsed this, in her apartment, in the shower, in the mirror. Now every word felt trapped behind her teeth. "It's about the independent study," she said finally. His brow lifted slightly. "The one I advised you against?" "Yes." He studied her for a long moment. "You asked to write a thesis on power dynamics in hierarchical institutions," he said. "I told you it would be complicated. That's why I want to do it." His eyes sharpened at that. "You enjoy complicated? I don't avoid it." A corner of his mouth twitched, though it was not amusement. "No," he said quietly, "you don't." Silence settled again, thicker now. Sophia forced herself to hold his gaze. Up close, his presence was overwhelming, not because he was loud or aggressive, because he was controlled. Every inch of him radiated restraint. It made her want to see what happened when it cracked. "I need your supervision," she said. "You have my supervision," he replied evenly. "You are my graduate assistant?" "You know that's not what I mean." His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Careful," he murmured. The warning did not frighten her. It thrilled her. "I want to study authority tension," she continued, voice steady despite the heat coiling in her stomach. "The psychological pull, the boundaries, the ethical gray areas." He took a single step closer. "You are aware of the implications of that request," he said. "Yes." "You want to examine the push and pull between control and surrender in structured environments." Yes. His eyes did not leave hers. And you thought meeting me alone after hours was the appropriate way to propose this. Her breath caught. I thought you'd understand the irony. He exhaled slowly through his nose. You are playing a dangerous game, Sophia. I'm conducting research. His gaze dropped briefly, slowly, taking in the line of her blouse, the way it curved over her chest, the way her skirt traced the shape of her hips. It was not leering, it was assessment. When his eyes returned to hers, something had shifted. You are my student, he said quietly. I'm 24, she replied, not 18. That is not the point. Then what is? He stepped even closer, closing the space between them until she could feel the heat radiating from his body. Not touching. Not yet. The point, he said, voice low and precise, is that power is not a toy. It is not a fantasy you test for a grade. Her pulse thundered. Who said anything about fantasy? His hand came up. Not to touch her, to brace against the desk beside her hip. The proximity was suffocating. You think I don't see the way you look at me, he said. Her breath hitched. You think I don't notice how you linger after class, how you challenge me not because you disagree, but because you enjoy the friction. Her spine straightened instinctively. Maybe I just like being pushed, she said. His jaw flexed. And maybe, he replied, you have no idea what you are asking for. The air between them crackled. She could feel it in her skin, in the tight coil low in her stomach, in the way her body reacted to the mere suggestion of his control. Then teach me, she said softly. The words hung there. Not loud, not desperate, just honest. His eyes darkened a shade. You want a lesson? He asked. Yes. In what? In how far I can go without breaking. Silence slammed down between them. He stared at her like he was recalculating every variable. You are testing me, he said finally. I'm asking you. There is a difference. She tilted her chin up slightly. Then correct me. His breath hitched, subtle but unmistakable. He closed the remaining inch between them, not touching, but so close she could feel the faint brush of his shirt against her blouse. You think control is about dominance, he said quietly. It is not. Then what is it? It is about restraint. His hand moved, finally, resting lightly at her waist, not gripping, not claiming, just there. The contact sent a sharp spark through her body. You feel that? He asked. Yes. That is me holding back. Her throat tightened. His thumb pressed lightly into the curve of her waist, testing. She inhaled sharply. You came here because you want to see what happens when restraint fractures, he continued. Yes. And if it does, he asked. She held his gaze. Then we deal with it. His eyes searched her face, looking for hesitation. There was none. You are not naive, he said. No. You are not fragile. No. But you are not prepared. The words hit harder than she expected. You don't know that, she said. He leaned closer, his mouth near her ear. I know exactly how unprepared you are, he murmured. The low rumble of his voice against her skin sent heat racing down her spine. She turned her head slightly, their faces inches apart now. Prove it, she whispered. His control snapped, not violently, not recklessly, but deliberately. His hand slid from her waist to her lower back, fingers spreading wide, drawing her flush against him. The contact was solid, unmistakable. His other hand came up to cradle her jaw, tilting her face upward. The kiss was not gentle. It was precise, measured. A slow claiming of space rather than a frantic collision. Her body reacted instantly, hands gripping the front of his shirt, feeling the hard lines beneath the fabric. Heat surged between them, sharp and electric. He pulled back first, breathing steady, eyes darker than before. This, he said quietly, is why you are not prepared. Her lips were swollen, her pulse erratic. I asked for a lesson, she replied. His grip tightened slightly at her back. You just started one. The lecture hall lights hummed overhead. The campus remained silent outside. And between them, something far more dangerous than a thesis proposal had just begun. Chapter 2, Terms of Control. The kiss should not have happened. That was the first thought that detonated through Sophia's head when Adrian stepped back. The second was worse. She wanted more. The lecture hall felt charged now, the fluorescent lights too bright, the air too thin. Her lips still burned where his had pressed against them, slow and deliberate, like he had been marking territory instead of stealing a moment. Adrian did not look disoriented. He looked composed. That somehow made it worse. His hand remained at her lower back, firm but not gripping, thumb resting just above the curve of her hip. His other hand had fallen from her jaw, but the memory of his fingers there lingered like a brand. "You misunderstand something," he said, voice steady again, the accent threading each word with controlled heat. "Do I?" she asked, breath uneven. "Yes." He stepped back, removing his hand from her body. The loss of contact hit her harder than the kiss. "This," he continued, gesturing faintly between them, "is not impulse." "Felt like it," she said. A flicker of something passed through his eyes. "Not anger. Something sharper." "If that had been impulse," he said quietly, "you would not be standing." Her stomach tightened. The bluntness of it sent a rush of heat straight through her core. She forced herself not to react too visibly. "Then what was it?" she asked. "A demonstration." Her pulse pounded in her ears. He reached for his jacket, but instead of putting it back on, he draped it over the desk and moved slowly around her. Not touching, just circling. The faint scent of his cologne, dark and clean and masculine, trailed in his wake. "You wanted to understand power?" he said. "You wanted to examine authority tension." He stopped behind her, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him at her back without contact. "You do not study power by provoking it," he continued. "You study it by recognizing when you are already inside it." Her breath caught. "You think I'm inside it?" she asked. He leaned slightly closer, his mouth near her ear again. "You walked into my domain after hours," he murmured. "You closed the door. You positioned yourself exactly where you knew I would have to stand close to you." Her spine tingled. "You wore that?" he added quietly. Her heart slammed. "That's a blouse," she said. "It is calculated." His hand came up again, this time brushing lightly down her arm, fingertips grazing the inside of her elbow. Not a grab, not even a firm hold, just enough to make her shiver. "You want to know how far you can go," he said. "Yes. And you think you are in control because you initiated this." "I did initiate it." He stepped in front of her again, eyes locking onto hers. "You initiated proximity," he corrected, "not control." The words struck something deep. "Then show me the difference," she said. He exhaled slowly. "You are reckless," he said, not unkindly. "I'm honest." "You are both." Silence stretched between them. Then he did something unexpected. He walked to the front desk, picked up a piece of chalk, and wrote a single word on the board behind her. "Consent." He set the chalk down carefully. "Power without consent is abuse," he said evenly. "Power with consent is structure." Her throat tightened. "You think I don't understand that?" "I think," he replied, "that you are chasing sensation and calling it theory." That stung. "I'm not chasing sensation," she shot back. "You are standing in a dark lecture hall at night with your professor asking him to teach you how to surrender control," he said flatly. "Be honest about what you are chasing." Her pulse hammered harder. "I'm chasing truth," she said. "Then start with your own." The air felt electric. He stepped closer again, not touching, but close enough that she could see the faint pulse at his throat. "What do you want?" he asked. The question was direct, sharp, no academic framing, no protective language. She swallowed. "I want to know what happens when I stop pretending I'm not affected by you," she said. His jaw tightened. "And what do you think happens?" he asked. She met his gaze without blinking. "I think you stop holding back." A muscle in his cheek flexed. "You think this is me holding back?" he asked quietly. "Yes." He stepped so close their chests almost brushed. "This is me containing it," he corrected. Her breath stuttered. "Containing what?" His hand slid slowly, deliberately, to her waist again. "Everything." The word hit low and heavy. His thumb pressed into the curve of her hip, testing her reaction. She inhaled sharply. "You feel that?" he asked. "Yes." "That is not dominance," he said. "That is restraint under pressure." Her mind raced. Her body betrayed her. She wanted him to lose it. She wanted to see the fracture. "Then don't contain it," she whispered. His grip tightened slightly. "You assume I want to unleash it." "You kissed me." "Yes." "And you think that was a warning?" It was. The intensity in his eyes made her stomach flip. "You are not asking for a casual encounter," he continued. "You are asking to explore imbalance." "Yes." "That requires rules." She blinked. "Rules?" "Yes." Her lips parted slightly. "You're serious." "Very." He stepped back just enough to put a sliver of air between them. "If you want to explore control," he said, "we establish parameters." The rational part of her brain lit up. "Like what?" "Like the fact that this does not exist in the classroom," he said immediately. "Not in discussion, not in grading, not in evaluation." Her heartbeat slowed slightly, replaced by something steadier. You separate roles, she said. Yes. And outside of that, you guys, he studied her carefully. Outside of that, you do not push for reaction, he said. You do not provoke to test my limits. Her brows lifted slightly. So I just, what? Wait? You respond, he said. You do not manipulate. The accusation landed. I wasn't manipulating, she said. You were baiting. Heat flared in her chest. And you took it, she countered. His mouth curved faintly. I chose to. The distinction mattered. He stepped closer again, but this time his movements were slower. Intentional. He lifted his hand and slid his fingers into her hair at the base of her neck, not gripping, just holding. Her breath hitched. You want to know what control looks like? He asked quietly. Yes. His fingers tightened slightly, just enough to tilt her head back. This, he said. The pressure was firm but not painful. Anchoring, direct. Her pulse roared. He leaned down, mouth brushing the corner of hers. Control, he murmured, is not force. It is choosing exactly how much pressure to apply. His lips moved slowly across hers again. Not frantic, not desperate, measured. His hand remained in her hair, steady, guiding the angle of the kiss. His other hand rested at her waist, thumb tracing small circles just above her hip. Her body melted into the structure of it. He deepened the kiss slightly, just enough to make her knees weaken. Then he pulled back. You feel how I set the pace? He asked. She nodded, breath uneven. That is control. Her mind swam. And what am I doing? She asked softly. You are yielding, he said. The word sent heat crashing through her. I don't feel weak, she said. You are not weak. He released her hair slowly, fingers sliding down the length of it before falling away. You are choosing to allow me to guide, he continued. That is not weakness. That is participation. Her chest rose and fell hard. So this is what, she asked, an arrangement? He considered that. It is an exploration, he said, but it is deliberate. And if I want more than deliberate, his eyes darkened, then you will need to understand the cost. Silence filled the lecture hall again. Her heart pounded. I'm not afraid of cost, she said. His gaze sharpened. You should be. The blunt warning should have stopped her. Instead, it made her step closer. I'm not here for safe, she said. He exhaled slowly. No, he agreed. You are not. He glanced at the words still written on the board. Consent, last chance, he said quietly. You walk away now, and we pretend this conversation never happened. Her pulse roared in her ears. And if I don't? He stepped in close again, hand returning to her waist, grip firmer this time. Then you do not get to accuse me of crossing lines you invited me to approach. Her breath caught. I won't, she said. He searched her face for hesitation. There was none. His thumb pressed into her hip again, stronger now. Say it, he demanded softly. I want this, she replied. All of it? Yes. His eyes held hers for one long, charged second. Then understand, he said quietly, you just agreed to more than a thesis. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The campus remained silent beyond the doors. And in the charged space between restraint and surrender, Sophia felt the first true shift of power settle into place. Chapter 3, Structured Risk. The word still hung between them. More. Sophia felt it like a weight in the air, thick and deliberate. She had said yes, not to a kiss, not to a flirtation, to structure, to imbalance, to something that could tilt the axis of her life if she misstepped. Adrian did not move immediately. His hand remained firm at her waist, thumb pressing into the soft curve of her hip just enough to keep her anchored in the moment. Not possessive, not careless, deliberate. You understand, he said quietly, that this does not become reckless. Her pulse thudded hard in her throat. I'm not reckless, she replied. You walked into a dark lecture hall and asked your professor to teach you how to surrender control. A corner of her mouth twitched despite the tension. That's academic phrasing. His eyes narrowed slightly. You enjoy poking, he said. Maybe. His grip tightened a fraction. Then let me clarify something, he continued. Control is not about theatrics. It is about precision. She held his gaze. Show me. He exhaled slowly. First, he said, stepping back just enough to create space, we establish expectations. The sudden shift from physical heat to composed authority made her stomach twist in a different way. You want rules, she said. Yes. And you always get what you want? His eyes flicked over her slowly, assessing. No, he said, I get what is agreed upon. The distinction was razor sharp. He walked back to the desk, leaning against it with composed ease, sleeves rolled up, forearms flexing lightly as he folded them across his chest. You will not chase reaction, he said. Her brow lifted. I wasn't. You were, the bluntness landed. You were provoking, he continued, trying to see if you could make me break first. She crossed her arms over her chest instinctively. And if I was? Then you misunderstand the dynamic you are asking for. The words hit low and heavy. You think I want you out of control? He asked. Her breath caught. I want to see what you're like without the mask, she admitted. His jaw tightened slightly. You assume this is a mask. It feels like one. Silence stretched between them. Then he pushed off the desk and walked toward her again, slower this time. Not circling, not looming, closing distance with intention. You want to see what I am without restraint? He asked quietly. Yes. He stopped in front of her. You would not like it. A thrill ran down her spine. That's not your decision, she said. His hand came up again, fingers brushing lightly along her jaw. You are addicted to friction, he murmured. And you're not? His thumb pressed lightly against her lower lip. I manage mine, he replied. Her breath turned shallow. Maybe I don't want management, she whispered. His eyes darkened. That is exactly why you need it. The air between them tightened. She hated how much that made sense. You said this requires structure, she said. It does. Then structure it. He studied her for a long moment. Very well. His hand dropped from her face. You will not touch me unless I permit it. Her stomach flipped. That's rule 1? She asked. Yes. And if I do, then I stop. The firmness in his voice left no room for misinterpretation. Her pulse pounded. Rule 2, he continued, you do not use your academic position to manipulate proximity. I wasn't, you were, he repeated calmly. She clenched her jaw. Fine. Rule 3, he said, stepping closer again, you communicate clearly, not in innuendo, not in challenge. You want blunt? Yes, she met his eyes. I want you to guide, she said clearly. His expression shifted slightly. That is clearer. His hand returned to her waist, but this time it slid lower, fingers spanning the small of her back. The contact was warmer, firmer. Now, he said quietly, we test something. Her pulse roared. Stand still. She did. He stepped closer until their bodies nearly touched. Do not initiate, he instructed. Her muscles tightened automatically. His hand slid slowly up her back, fingers tracing the line of her spine beneath the thin fabric of her blouse. The touch was unhurried, intentional. Her breath hitched. Feel the difference, he murmured. His other hand rested at her hip again, thumb pressing lightly into her skin. He did not move beyond that. He was not consuming her. He was controlling pace. She felt it. The power was not in pressure. It was in withholding. You see? He asked softly. Yes, you are reacting. Her chest rose and fell hard. And you're not? She shot back. His mouth curved faintly. I am, he admitted. I am simply deciding how much. The admission made her stomach twist in heat. His fingers traced slowly down her spine again, stopping just above the curve of her lower back. You want more, he said quietly. Yes, but you are not pushing. No. Why? Because you told me not to. His eyes sharpened. Exactly. He leaned down slowly, mouth brushing her cheek, then hovering near her lips. I'm choosing this pace, he said. His lips pressed against hers, slower than before, deeper. His hand at her back tightened slightly, anchoring her as he angled the kiss exactly how he wanted it. She did not grab him, did not claw at his shirt. She let him guide, and the sensation was different. He deepened the kiss gradually, testing, adjusting. When she instinctively tried to step closer, he held her in place with subtle pressure at her lower back. Not force. Correction. Her pulse spiked at the restraint. He pulled back just enough to look at her. You feel that? He asked. Yes. That is structure. Her head spun. She had expected heat. She had not expected this level of psychological intensity. You're controlling the rhythm, she said. Yes. And I'm? Yielding intentionally. The word sent heat crashing through her again. I don't feel weak, she said softly. You are not weak. He released her slowly, letting his hands fall away. The absence of contact was jarring. Power, he continued, is not about overpowering you. It is about setting the frame and watching you choose to stay inside it. Her throat tightened. And if I step outside it? She asked. His eyes darkened. Then I remind you. The quiet certainty in his voice made her stomach flip. You enjoy this, she said. Yes. No hesitation. And that doesn't scare you? It should scare you more than me, he replied calmly. She swallowed. Why? Because you are the one surrendering. The word hung heavy. I'm not surrendering everything, she said. No, he agreed. Only what you choose. He walked back to the board and erased the word consent with slow, deliberate strokes. Then he wrote another. Trust. He stepped aside. Without that, he said, none of this works. Her chest felt tight. You think I don't trust you? I think you trust the idea of this, he replied, not the reality. And what's the reality? That control is not sexy when it becomes uncomfortable. She held his gaze. I can handle uncomfortable. He stepped toward her again, stopping just within reach. Then understand this, he said quietly. If we continue, you will not always feel in control. You will not always get to provoke. You will not always like the outcome. Her pulse hammered. And you will? She asked. No, he said. I will not always like how much I want to push. The honesty in that statement hit harder than the kiss had. She exhaled slowly. So this is a negotiation, she said. It is an agreement. And what happens if we blur the lines? He did not hesitate. Then it ends. The firmness of it steadied her unexpectedly. You'd walk away? She asked. Yes. The certainty in his voice made something settle in her chest. This was not chaos. This was not chaos. This was calculated risk. She stepped closer again, stopping just short of touching him. I don't want chaos, she said. Good. I want intensity. His eyes darkened. You will have it. He reached for her again, hands sliding to her waist, thumb pressing firmly enough this time to make her inhale sharply. But you will have it my way, he added quietly. Her pulse roared. And I agreed to that, she said. Yes. His hand slid slowly upward, tracing the curve of her side, stopping just below her ribs. Last question, he murmured. What? Are you prepared to feel exposed? She did not look away. Yes. His grip tightened slightly. Then understand, he said, voice low and controlled. You just handed me more power than you realize. The lecture hall lights hummed overhead. The campus remained silent beyond the doors, and Sophia felt the shift fully now. This was no longer a flirtation. It was a structure, and she had just stepped inside it willingly. Chapter 4. Pressure and Permission. The air in the lecture hall felt different now. He had written trust on the board. She felt it like a second heartbeat under her skin. Sophia stood in front of Adrian with her pulse hammering and her nerves stripped raw, fully aware that this was no longer playful tension. This was structure, deliberate imbalance, and she had stepped into it with her eyes open. His hand remained at her side, fingers spanning her waist just below her ribs. The pressure was steady, controlled. You feel exposed already, he observed quietly. She hated how accurate that was. I feel aware, she corrected. His thumb pressed slightly harder into her side. Awareness is the beginning of exposure. Her breath hitched. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. The empty lecture hall loomed around them, rows of seats watching in silent judgment. It made the intimacy sharper, more dangerous. You are used to leading, he continued. You challenge, you push, you provoke. Yes. You do not like not knowing what comes next. Her jaw tightened. No, he stepped closer. Then this will be difficult for you. His hand slid slowly from her waist up to the center of her back, fingers spreading wide, guiding her one step backward until the edge of the front desk pressed lightly into the back of her thighs. The movement was smooth, effortless. She hadn't even realized she'd been repositioned. Her pulse spiked. Do you see? He asked. You moved me, she said. Yes. And I let you. Yes. The word hung heavy. His other hand came up, resting on the desk beside her hip. He wasn't trapping her. Not fully, but she felt contained. You are not powerless, he said quietly. You are choosing not to resist. Her chest rose and fell faster now. That feels like power, she murmured. It is, he replied. Shared. The distinction shifted something inside her. His fingers tightened slightly at her back. Look at me, he instructed. She already was. No, he said softly. Look. She forced herself to focus on details instead of sensation. The sharp line of his jaw, the faint crease between his brows when he concentrated, the way his shirt pulled subtly across his chest with each breath. You are flushed, he observed. So are you. A faint smirk touched his mouth. I am managing it. Barely. His eyes darkened at that. You still test, he murmured. Maybe I like seeing cracks. His hand slid from her back to her jaw, fingers curling under her chin, tilting her face up slightly. You will not see cracks, he said evenly. You will see choice. Her stomach flipped. You keep talking like this is a lecture. It is. The firmness in his voice made heat pool low and heavy inside her. And what's today's lesson, she asked. He leaned closer, his mouth near her ear again, restraint under pressure. The low vibration of his voice sent heat racing down her spine. His hand moved from her jaw to her throat. Not squeezing, not constricting, just resting there, palm warm against her skin. Her breath caught. You tense, he noted. Yes. Why? Because you're touching my throat. And, her pulse pounded violently, and that's not neutral. No, he agreed. It is not. His thumb brushed lightly along the side of her neck, feeling her pulse. You are hyper-aware, he said. Of course I am. Good. His fingers slid lower, tracing the line of her collarbone, then drifting back to her waist. He did not rush. He did not grope. Every touch was intentional, specific. You expected heat, he continued. You did not expect discipline. Her lips parted. No. You are reacting more strongly to this than you did to the kiss. Her breath hitched. That's not fair. It is accurate. She hated that he was right. The kiss had been electric. But this slow, measured positioning, this was destabilizing. You want to feel taken, he said quietly. Her stomach twisted. Yes, but you also want to feel safe. She swallowed. Yes. His hand at her waist tightened just enough to make her inhale sharply. Then you do not get chaos, he said. You get containment. The word wrapped around her like a vice. He leaned in again, brushing his mouth slowly along the line of her jaw. Not kissing fully, just grazing, letting her feel the almost. Her fingers twitched at her sides. You want to touch, he observed. Yes. You remember Rule 1? She clenched her jaw. Yes. His lips brushed the corner of her mouth. Ask. Her pulse thundered. May I touch you? She said, voice steadier than she felt. He pulled back just enough to look at her. Yes, he said. The permission hit like a spark. Her hands moved to his chest, palms pressing against firm muscle beneath his shirt. The fabric was warm under her fingers. Solid. Real. She felt the tension in him. The restrained strength. You see the difference? He asked. Yes. You asked, and you chose. Yes. He covered her hands with his own briefly, guiding them slightly lower along his torso before releasing them again. Control is not theft, he said quietly. It is exchange. Her breath came faster. His hand slid back to her lower back again, guiding her forward this time until her body brushed against his fully. The contact made her gasp. He did not press harder. He simply held her there. You are not overwhelmed, he said. You are responsive. Her head felt light. Is that what this is? She whispered. Yes. His mouth found hers again. This time the kiss was deeper. Not frantic, not uncontrolled. He set the pace, slow at first, then firmer, testing her reaction. She leaned into it instinctively, hands sliding up to grip his shoulders. He allowed it. Then he broke the kiss abruptly. Her breath staggered. You see, he murmured. You stopped, she said. Yes. Why? Because I decided to. The control in that statement made her knees weaken. He stepped back half an inch, enough to create tension again. You are learning, he said. Learning what? That you do not get to dictate escalation. Her pulse spiked. And you do? In this structure, yes. The authority in his tone was not loud. It was calm, unshakable. Her body reacted to it like it had been wired to. You're not just controlling pace, she said softly. You're controlling anticipation. Yes, and that's intentional. Completely. He stepped back slightly, removing his hands entirely. The absence hit her like withdrawal. You want more, he observed. Yes. But you will not reach for it. She swallowed. No. Good. He turned away briefly, walking to the desk and picking up his jacket. The shift from heat to distance was jarring. You are not dismissed, he said without turning. Her breath caught. I didn't think I was. Good. He set the jacket down again. This does not move forward because you are aroused, he continued calmly. It moves forward because you remain present. Her heart pounded. I'm present. Yes. He walked back toward her slowly. You are also impatient. Yes. You will learn to manage that. Her lips parted. You're going to train me? His eyes darkened. I am going to structure you. The words sent a shock straight through her. Structure me how? She asked. By making you aware of your reactions. And if I don't like them, you will still own them. He stepped close again, hand returning to her waist. Tell me what you feel, he said. Her breath trembled. I feel exposed. Good. I feel turned on. His thumb pressed into her hip slightly. Good. I feel like you're 3 steps ahead of me. I am. The honesty was brutal. And that makes you angry, he added. She blinked. It does. Why? Because I'm not used to being behind. His hand slid upward slowly along her side, stopping just beneath her ribs. "You are not behind," he said. "You are choosing to follow." The distinction settled heavy and real. She exhaled slowly. "And you?" she asked. "What do you feel?" His jaw flexed. "I feel temptation," he said. Her pulse roared. "And? I feel the desire to abandon structure," Bennett. Her breath caught. "And you won't." "No." The certainty in his voice was iron. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above them. The lecture hall remained empty, but the tension between them felt monumental. "You wanted to understand power," he said quietly. "Yes, you are beginning to." His hand slid from her side, down her waist, then away entirely. He stepped back. "This ends here tonight," he said. The abruptness stunned her. "What? You are overloaded." "I'm not. You are." His tone was calm, final. "You will go home," he continued. "You will sit with what you felt. You will analyze your reactions." Her chest tightened. "And you?" "I will do the same." She stared at him. "You're stopping because you want to," she said. "Yes. And because you can." "Yes." The power in that choice reverberated through her. He picked up his jacket this time and slipped it on smoothly, adjusting the cuffs. "You are not dismissed from the agreement," he said. "Just from tonight." "Yes," she swallowed. "When do we continue?" His eyes held hers. "When you prove you can handle waiting." The words hit low and heavy. He walked toward the door. "Sophia?" She straightened. "Yes." "You asked for structure." "Yes, you have it." The door opened, then closed behind him, and for the first time since she'd stepped into that lecture hall, she realized something terrifying. She wasn't chasing chaos. She was craving the discipline of it. Chapter 5. The Cost of Waiting. Sophia did not sleep. She lay in her apartment with the lights off and the city humming faintly beyond the window, replaying every second in the lecture hall like it had been etched into her skin. Containment. Structure. Waiting. The words hit harder than the kiss ever had. She had walked in thinking she wanted fire, loss of control, a crack in his composure. Instead, he had given her discipline, and somehow that felt more dangerous. Her body still buzzed with the ghost of his touch, the memory of his hand at her throat, the firm pressure at her waist, the way he had stopped, not because he had to, but because he decided to. That was the part that twisted her up. He could have continued. He chose not to. That kind of power sat heavy in her chest. By morning, she was exhausted and wired at the same time. She dressed with more care than she wanted to admit. Not provocative, not reckless, sharp. High-waisted trousers in deep charcoal, a silk blouse the color of dark wine, fitted but not revealing, hair pulled back into a sleek knot at the nape of her neck. Professional, contained. If he wanted structure, she could give him structure. When she stepped into the faculty building later that afternoon, she felt the shift immediately. The halls were bright, crowded, academic, safe. Her pulse betrayed her anyway. Adrian's office door was half open. She paused outside, steadying her breath. He was seated behind his desk, glasses low on his nose, reading something on his tablet. The sleeves of his white shirt were rolled up again. His tie was back in place, composed, controlled. He looked up the second she stepped into view. His expression did not change. "Miss Bennett," he said evenly. The formality hit like a slap. "Professor," she replied. His eyes flicked over her briefly, taking inventory, not lingering, assessing. "Close the door," he said. She did. The click echoed softly. He set the tablet down. "You waited," he observed. "Yes." "You did not send a message?" "No." "You did not appear outside my office this morning?" "No." A faint shift in his posture. "Good." The single word sent heat sliding low through her stomach. "You told me to prove I could handle waiting." "Yes, I can." He leaned back in his chair slightly, studying her. "Waiting is not passive," he said. "I know. It is active restraint." Her pulse quickened. "I didn't text you," she said. "I didn't push. I didn't try to recreate last night." "And what did you feel?" he asked. She swallowed. "Frustrated." "And turned on." His jaw tightened subtly. "And angry." His eyes sharpened. "At me?" "At myself," she admitted, "for wanting you to lose control." Silence stretched between them. "That is honest," he said quietly. She exhaled slowly. "I don't like feeling behind." "You are not behind. You're always ahead." He removed his glasses, folding them carefully before setting them aside. "That is the structure," he replied. Her pulse spiked. He stood. The movement was smooth, controlled. He walked around the desk, stopping a few feet from her. "You came here contained," he observed. "Yes." "You dressed to be taken seriously." Yes. You are not trying to provoke. No. He stepped closer. You are adapting. Her breath caught. You told me to, she said. His hand came up slowly, brushing a stray piece of hair near her temple. You are beginning to understand the difference between reaction and response, he said. The light touch sent heat through her body. He let his fingers trail down to the side of her neck briefly before withdrawing. Do you want to continue? He asked. The question was steady, direct. Yes. Why? She held his gaze. Because I don't want chaos, she said. I want intensity that doesn't unravel me. Something shifted in his eyes at that. He stepped closer until the edge of his desk pressed lightly into her lower back. The position mirrored the lecture hall. Deliberate. You will not be unraveled, he said quietly. How do you know? Because I will not allow it. The authority in that statement made her knees weaken. His hand slid to her waist again, thumb pressing into the fabric of her blouse. You are more responsive when you feel contained, he observed. Yes. You breathe differently. Her chest rose and fell faster now. You notice everything, she said. Yes. His other hand came up, resting lightly at the base of her throat again. Not squeezing, not forcing, just reminding. Her pulse hammered against his palm. You trust me, he said. Yes. That trust is not blind. No. It is chosen. Yes. He leaned closer, his mouth near hers but not touching. You are not asking me to take, he murmured. You are asking me to lead. The truth of it settled deep. Yes. And you understand that leading means I decide pace. Her breath trembled. Yes. His lips brushed hers lightly. Testing. She did not lunge, did not grab. She waited. He deepened the kiss gradually, one hand firm at her waist, the other steady at her throat. The pressure was precise, controlled. Her body melted into it. He broke the kiss first. You waited, he said again. Yes. You did not chase. No. Good. His thumb pressed slightly harder at her waist, making her inhale sharply. Tell me what you want right now, he said. Her pulse thundered. I want you to touch me again, she said clearly. The bluntness made heat flood her. Where you want to, she replied. His eyes darkened. Not vague, he corrected. She swallowed. I want your hand on my waist, she said, and your mouth on mine. His jaw tightened slightly. That is specific. Yes, he obliged. His hand slid firmly to her waist again, fingers digging just enough to make her gasp. His mouth covered hers in a slower, deeper kiss than before. He set the rhythm. She followed. The difference was electric. She felt guided instead of grasping, contained instead of chaotic. When she instinctively tried to pull him closer, his hand at her throat tightened slightly. Not painful, just corrective. She stilled. He broke the kiss. You see? He murmured. Yes. You wanted to escalate. Yes. And I did not. The power in that choice reverberated through her. You are not powerless, he continued. You are agreeing to the pace. Her head spun. You make it sound so clean, she whispered. It is not clean, he said. It is intentional. His hand slid from her throat down to her collarbone, fingers tracing slowly along the edge of her blouse. You are aroused, he observed calmly. Her cheeks flushed. Yes. And you are also thinking. Yes. Good. He stepped back slightly. We stop here. The abruptness stunned her again. What? You are still learning. She clenched her jaw. You always stop first. Yes. That drives me insane. He allowed himself a faint smile. I know. The calm confidence in that admission made her stomach flip. You said there was a cost, she said. There is. This is it. In part. He adjusted his cuffs. You will learn patience, he said. And you? I will learn restraint under pressure. She held his gaze. And when do we stop stopping? His eyes darkened slightly. When you no longer need the edge to feel alive. The words landed deep. He moved back behind his desk, reclaiming physical distance. For now, he said evenly, we remain professional. Her pulse slowed gradually. Yes, Professor. His gaze flicked up sharply at the title. A subtle crack. Not chaos, but a flicker. She saw it, and this time she did not push. She turned and walked to the door without waiting for dismissal. Her hand rested on the handle for a second. Professor? Yes. I can handle waiting. His voice came calm and measured from behind her. I know. She left. And for the first time since this began, she realized something undeniable. She wasn't just learning how to surrender control. She was learning how to trust someone else with it. Chapter 6, Controlled Exposure. By the end of the week, the tension had turned surgical. Not explosive, not chaotic, sharp. Every class felt like a slow drag of a blade across her nerves. Adrian stood at the front of the lecture hall, composed as ever. Sleeves rolled just enough to expose muscle and inked veins beneath pale skin. His voice remained measured, precise, threading arguments about institutional power and moral obligation through the room like a conductor guiding an orchestra. No one else saw it, the structure beneath the surface, but Sophia felt it. Every time his eyes landed on her, even briefly, there was a flicker of recognition. Not possession, not heat, something steadier, a reminder. You are choosing this. She had stopped pushing, stopped provoking, stopped testing for cracks. That had been harder than she expected. Friday afternoon, after the last student filed out, she remained seated in the third row. He noticed immediately. "You are lingering," he said without looking up from the papers he was stacking. "I'm not pushing," she replied. A faint curve touched his mouth. "No," he agreed. "You are not." He walked down the aisle slowly, stopping one step below her. "Why are you still here?" he asked. She held his gaze. "Because I want to be." Not defiant, not coy, just honest. His eyes assessed her carefully. "You have improved," he said. "Improved? You are not baiting." Her pulse ticked upward. "That doesn't mean I don't want you," she said quietly. His jaw tightened slightly. "I am aware." The air shifted. He stepped closer, enough that she could see the faint shadow of stubble along his jaw, the way the light caught in his eyes. "You are learning to separate wanting from demanding," he continued. "Yes." "That is progress." Her stomach twisted. Progress toward what? He reached for her wrist. The touch was firm but not abrupt. His fingers wrapped around it with measured pressure, thumb resting over her pulse. "Toward trust," he said. Her breath hitched. He guided her to stand. She did not resist. He did not crowd her. He simply repositioned her so she was facing him fully, bodies close but not pressed. "You asked what the cost was," he said quietly. "Yes. It is exposure." Her pulse thudded beneath his thumb. "You think I'm not exposed already?" "You are guarded," he corrected. His hand slid from her wrist to her waist. The contact was warmer now, more deliberate. "You hold yourself tight," he continued, "even when you yield." She swallowed. "That's not easy to drop." "No." His hand moved slowly upward, tracing the side of her torso over the fabric of her blouse, not invasive, just enough to map. "You want to feel undone," he murmured. "Yes. But you still monitor yourself." She hated how true that was. "I don't know how not to," she admitted. His fingers stilled. "Then that is the next lesson." Her breath caught. "And what is that?" "Letting go of performance." Her pulse jumped. "You think I'm performing?" "I think you are still aware of how you look," he said. "How you sound, how you appear." Her cheeks warmed. "And you're not?" His mouth curved faintly. "I am always aware." "Then what's the difference?" "I do not adjust for approval." The statement landed deep. He stepped closer, his hand sliding firmly to the small of her back. "You are not trying to please me," he continued. "You are trying to control how I see you." The accusation was precise. "And what if I don't want you seeing everything?" she asked. His hand tightened slightly. "That is the point." Her breath stuttered. "You want intensity," he said quietly. "Intensity requires vulnerability." "Fuck," she muttered under her breath. He heard it. "Yes," he replied calmly. "Exactly." His other hand came up, fingers brushing lightly along her jaw. "You are strong," he said. "You are intelligent. You are not fragile." Her throat tightened. "But you are afraid of looking weak," he added. She didn't answer. He didn't need her to. His hand slid from her jaw to the back of her neck, fingers threading lightly into her hair at the base of her skull. The contact was grounding. "You want me to take control," he said. "But you still want to control how it looks." Her breath trembled. "You're dissecting me." "Yes." "And that turns you on?" she asked. He did not hesitate. "Yes." The bluntness made her stomach flip. His fingers tightened slightly in her hair, tilting her head back just enough to expose the line of her throat. "You are beautiful when you stop trying," he murmured. Heat rushed through her. "That's manipulative," she said weakly. "No," he replied. "That is observation." He leaned down slowly, brushing his mouth along the side of her neck, not biting, not devouring, just a slow, deliberate graze that made her knees soften. Her hands twitched at her sides. "May I?" she asked quietly. "Yes." She placed her palms against his chest, feeling the solid warmth beneath the thin cotton of his shirt. He did not stop her, but he did not surrender pace. His mouth moved higher, brushing her jaw, then her lips. The kiss was slow, measured. He set the rhythm. When she instinctively leaned into it harder, his grip in her hair tightened slightly, Not painful, just corrective. She stilled. He broke the kiss. You see, he murmured. Yes. You want to drive. Yes, and I'm not allowing that. Her pulse roared. And you like that, he said. She hated how much she did. Yes. His hand slid from her hair down her back, fingers pressing firmly along her spine. You are reacting, he said, not performing. Her breathing had changed, deeper, less controlled. He felt it. You are not thinking about how you look right now, he observed. No. You are not calculating. No. Good. His hand moved to her waist again, thumb pressing firmly into the curve of her hip. Tell me what you feel, he said. Her pulse thundered. I feel exposed, she said. And? I feel like you're stripping me open without even undressing me. His eyes darkened. That is accurate. Her breath shuddered. And I feel like I can't hide, she added. His hand tightened slightly. You are not meant to. He leaned in again, kissing her deeper this time. Not frantic, not wild, but heavier. She responded without hesitation, hands gripping his shoulders more firmly. He allowed it. Then he pulled back first. Always first. You are closer, he said quietly. Closer to what? To letting go. She swallowed. And when I do? His gaze held her steadily. Then the structure holds you. The certainty in that statement grounded something inside her. He stepped back slowly, removing his hands. The loss of contact was sharp. You are not dismissed, he said calmly, but we are done for today. Her jaw clenched. You always stop at the edge. Yes. That's infuriating. I know. The calm confidence in his voice made her stomach twist again. She took a step back herself this time. You said exposure was the cost, she said. Yes. And what's the reward? His eyes flicked over her slowly. Clarity. Her pulse slowed slightly. Clarity about what? About what you actually want. She held his gaze. I want you, she said. He did not flinch. I know, he replied. She exhaled slowly. And I want you to understand what that means before we go further. The words settled deep. He picked up his jacket from the desk and slipped it on. You are not chasing chaos, he said. You are learning control. She watched him adjust his cuffs. And you, she asked. I am learning where my limits are. The admission hit harder than anything else he had said. You have limits? She asked softly. Yes. And I'm one of them? His eyes held hers. Yes. Silence fell between them. Heavy. Real. He walked toward the door, then paused. Sophia? Yes. You are not weak for wanting structure. Her throat tightened. And you are not manipulative for craving intensity, he added. Then he left. And for the first time since this began, she felt something shift that had nothing to do with arousal. It felt like trust deepening, and that terrified her more than any kiss ever had. Chapter 7. Fault Lines. The shift didn't happen in the lecture hall. It happened on a Tuesday night in his apartment. That alone should have told her how deep she'd stepped into this. Adrian did not invite lightly. He did not blur lines casually. When he gave her the address, it was after a week of measured distance and deliberate restraint. After more waiting, after more structure. You will come at 8, he had said. Not earlier, not later. She arrived at 8 on the dot. His building was older, stone facade, high windows, quiet, discreet, the kind of place that held secrets without asking questions. He opened the door before she knocked. Of course he did. He looked different out of the academic setting. No tie, no jacket, dark shirt fitted across his chest, sleeves rolled to the elbow. Black trousers, barefoot. Barefoot made him more dangerous, less polished, more real. His hair was slightly disheveled like he had run a hand through it too many times. The faint stubble along his jaw was darker tonight. His eyes locked onto hers instantly. You are on time, he said. Yes. He stepped aside. Come in. His apartment was minimal, clean lines, dark wood, low lighting. A single lamp casting warm shadows across the living room. No clutter, no chaos, everything in its place. She felt out of place in her own skin. She had dressed deliberately again, not for shock, not for seduction, for clarity. A fitted black dress that skimmed her body without screaming for attention. Long sleeves, high neckline, bare legs, heels, contained. He shut the door behind her. The click was loud in the quiet. You are nervous. Yes. Why? Because this feels different. It is. He walked slowly around her, not touching yet, just circling, assessing. You chose to come here, he said. Yes. You understand that this space is not neutral. Her pulse hammered. I know. He stopped in front of her. You are not here to be tested, he said quietly. You are here to decide. Her throat tightened. Decide what? If this is what you want without the performance of it. Her heart slammed. You think I've been performing? I think you've been adapting. He corrected. He stepped closer. The air shifted. His hand came to her waist, fingers spreading slowly over the fabric of her dress. You do not have an audience here, he said. You do not need to impress. Her breath hitched. I'm not trying to impress you. No? His thumb pressed lightly into her hip. Then why are you standing so straight? He murmured. She hadn't realized she was. He leaned in slightly, his mouth near her ear. You are bracing, he said softly. The low rumble of his voice against her skin made her knees weaken. Maybe I know how not to, she admitted. His hand slid up her side slowly, tracing the curve of her ribs over the fabric. Not intrusive, just mapping. You want to feel undone, he said. Yes. But you are still holding yourself together. Yes. His fingers slid higher, stopping just beneath her collarbone. Then tonight, he said quietly, you stop managing how you look. Her breath trembled. That's not easy, she whispered. I know. His hand moved to the back of her neck, fingers sliding into her hair. Not gripping, just holding. You are not here to be the composed graduate assistant, he continued. You are not here to be impressive. Then what am I here to be? She asked. Honest. The word settled deep. He tilted her head back slightly, not roughly, just enough to expose the line of her throat. You want to be taken apart, he said softly. Her pulse roared. Yes. But you are afraid of what that reveals. Her breath stuttered. Yes. His thumb brushed lightly along the side of her neck. Then stop pretending you are unshakable. The bluntness hit hard. She swallowed. I'm not pretending. You are, he said calmly. You do not let people see you unsure. Her jaw tightened. You're seeing it now. Yes. And I respect it. The answer surprised her. His hand slid from her hair down to her shoulder, then slowly down her arm, fingers tracing over the fabric of her sleeve. You are not weak, he said. You are layered. Her chest tightened. He stepped closer, bodies almost touching. You feel exposed because you are allowing yourself to, he continued. Her breathing had changed. Slower, deeper, less controlled, he noticed. You are not holding your breath, he observed. She hadn't realized she had stopped bracing. No, she said softly. His hand moved to her waist again, firmer this time, anchoring. You trust me, he said. Yes. Then stop standing like you are ready to fight. Her muscles relaxed incrementally. He felt it. Good, he murmured. His mouth brushed hers slowly. Not urgent, not hungry, just claiming presence. She didn't lunge, didn't grab. She let him set the pace. His hand slid lower along her waist, thumb pressing into the small of her back. When she instinctively leaned into him harder, he steadied her. Not rejecting, containing. You are still chasing edge, he murmured against her lips. Yes. You do not need edge to feel this. Her pulse thundered. Then what do I need? Trust. His lips moved to her jaw, then down the line of her neck again. Slow, deliberate, every touch measured. Her fingers twitched at her sides. May I? She asked quietly. Yes. She placed her hands against his chest, feeling the warmth and strength beneath his shirt. He allowed it, but he guided. His hand at her back adjusted her posture slightly, turning her body so she wasn't bracing against him but resting against him. The shift was subtle, but profound. You are not performing, he said softly. I'm not. You are not calculating. No, you are feeling. Yes, his hand slid down her back, firm and steady. You are trembling, he observed. Yes. Why? Because this feels real. His jaw tightened slightly. It is. The honesty landed heavy. He stepped back half an inch, just enough to look at her fully. You came here because you wanted intensity, he said. Yes. But intensity without safety becomes chaos. Her pulse slowed slightly. And this isn't chaos, she said. No. His thumb traced the curve of her waist slowly. This is controlled exposure. The phrase sent heat down her spine. He leaned in again, kissing her deeper this time. Slower, heavier, not rushed. Her body softened against his. He broke the kiss first. You are not gripping, he observed. She hadn't realized she wasn't. I'm not trying to hold on, she said. Good. His hand slid from her waist to her hip, pressing firmly but not possessively. You do not need to anchor me, he said. I am not leaving. The certainty in that statement made something in her chest crack open. She hadn't known she needed to hear that. Her fingers curled lightly into his shirt anyway. He didn't stop her, but he didn't escalate either. You are calmer, he said quietly. Yes, and more open. She nodded. He brushed his thumb along her cheek. You wanted to see me without the mask, he said. Yes. This is it. She searched his face. You're not detached, she said. No. You're not unaffected. No. But you're choosing restraint, yes. The power in that choice no longer felt like distance. It felt like protection. He leaned his forehead against hers. You are not surrendering because you are weak, he murmured. No. You are surrendering because you choose to. Yes. His hand tightened slightly at her waist. And I am not leading because I need control, he added. I am leading because you asked me to. Her throat tightened. Don't stop, she whispered. He didn't. He kissed her again, slower, deeper, not chasing climax, not chasing edge, just building. When he finally stepped back, it wasn't abrupt. It was deliberate. You are not unraveling, he said quietly. I feel like I am. You are not. He brushed his thumb along her jaw again. You are trusting. The word landed heavier than anything else. She realized then that the fault line wasn't between control and surrender. It was between fear and trust, and she had just stepped over it. Willingly. Chapter 8, The Edge Without Collapse. The shift wasn't explosive. It was quiet. Sophia felt it in the way her shoulders finally lowered without conscious effort, in the way her breath stopped hitching every time Adrian's hands moved, in the way her body no longer felt like it was bracing for impact. She wasn't unraveling. She was settling. And that terrified her more than chaos ever could. They stood in his living room, close enough that her dress brushed the front of his thighs when she breathed. His hand rested at her waist, warm and firm, thumb tracing slow arcs over the fabric, not escalating, not retreating, holding. You are different tonight, he murmured. How? You are not fighting the pace, she exhaled slowly. I'm tired of fighting. His eyes sharpened slightly at that. Tired of me? He asked. No. Her pulse quickened. Tired of myself. His hand tightened subtly. You are not a project to conquer, he said quietly. I know. Then stop treating yourself like one. The bluntness cut clean. She swallowed. You make it sound simple. It is not simple, he replied. It is deliberate. His other hand slid up her back slowly, fingers spreading between her shoulder blades. The warmth seeped into her spine. You are still holding something, he said. Her breath trembled. What? Fear. The word landed like a dropped glass. She didn't deny it. Of what? He pressed gently. She hesitated. He felt it immediately. His grip didn't change, but the air did. You will not be punished for honesty, he said calmly. The phrasing sent heat down her spine. I'm not afraid of you, she said. I know. I'm afraid of needing you like this. Silence stretched between them. His jaw flexed slightly. That, he said quietly, is different. Her chest tightened. I don't like how much I feel when I'm with you, she admitted. He didn't step back. He didn't withdraw. His hand moved higher, fingers sliding into her hair again, anchoring her gently. You feel out of control, he said. Yes. But you are not. I don't know that. His thumb brushed along the base of her skull. You are choosing to stay, he said. You are choosing to let me guide. Her breath stuttered. That doesn't feel like control. It is. He leaned closer, mouth brushing her cheek, before hovering near her lips. Control is not about gripping the wheel, he murmured. It is about deciding who holds it. Her stomach twisted. And if I regret that decision, she asked softly, then you walk away. The steadiness in his voice made her chest ache. You'd let me? Yes. No hesitation. That was what undid her. Her fingers curled into his shirt without thinking. He allowed it. You are not trapped here, he said quietly. I don't feel trapped. You feel vulnerable. Yes. His mouth finally met hers. The kiss wasn't urgent. It was grounding. Slow. Intentional. A firm press of lips that built gradually instead of igniting instantly. His hand at her waist slid lower, fingers pressing into the curve of her hip with measured pressure. She leaned into him without forcing. No lunging, no chasing, just allowing. He deepened the kiss carefully, guiding her head with the hand in her hair. The rhythm remained his. When her body instinctively tried to escalate, to chase the friction, he steadied her with a subtle tightening at her waist. Correction, not rejection. She exhaled into his mouth. You feel that? He murmured against her lips. Yes? You are not falling apart. Her pulse roared. I feel like I am. You are opening. The difference was everything. His hand slid from her waist to the small of her back, fingers pressing firmly but not possessively. The contact grounded her instead of consuming her. You do not need edge to feel alive, he said softly. She swallowed. I'm not sure I know how to do this without edge. Then learn. His mouth moved down the line of her jaw again, slower than before. No rush, no hunger that felt out of control. Every touch was deliberate. Her breathing deepened. Her body softened. You are calmer, he observed. I feel steadier. Good. His hand slid back to her waist, thumb tracing slow circles through the thin fabric of her dress. You are not trying to impress me, he continued. No. You are not trying to shock me. No. You are simply here. The simplicity of it hit her harder than any intensity. She pressed her forehead lightly against his chest. He let her. You're not disappointed? She asked quietly. In what? That I'm not pushing anymore. His hand slid to the back of her head, fingers threading gently through her hair. I am not interested in being provoked, he said. I am interested in being trusted. Her throat tightened. That feels bigger. It is. His thumb brushed lightly along her hairline. You came to me because you wanted structure, he said, not because you wanted chaos. Yes. Then stop confusing intensity with destruction. The truth of it settled heavy and undeniable. She had been chasing the crack in his composure like it was proof of something. But this steady, controlled closeness, this felt more powerful than a fracture ever could. His hand slid slowly down her back again, fingers tracing the line of her spine. You are breathing differently, he said. How? Less like you are bracing. She hadn't noticed. He always did. His mouth brushed hers again, softer this time, almost gentle. The shift was subtle but seismic. She wasn't reacting from friction anymore. She was responding from trust. His hand tightened slightly at her waist. You are not performing, he murmured. No, you are not calculating. No, you are feeling. Yes. The word trembled out of her. He stepped back just enough to look at her fully. You want to go further, he said. Yes, but not because you need proof. She shook her head. No. He studied her carefully. You are no longer trying to test my limits, he said. No. Why? Because I don't need to. A faint shift in his expression. And what changed? You stayed, she said simply. The honesty of it hung heavy between them. He had stayed. Not escalated recklessly, not retreated in fear. Stayed. His hand returned to her waist, firmer now. You are not weak for needing reassurance, he said quietly. I don't need reassurance. You needed proof that I would not disappear. Her pulse thudded. She didn't deny it. He leaned down slowly, pressing a deliberate kiss to her lips again. This one deeper, heavier. She responded without tension. No gripping, no chasing, just allowing the pace he set. When he finally pulled back, her body hummed. You see the difference? He asked softly. Yes. You are not clinging. No. You are not demanding escalation. No. And yet you are more open. She exhaled slowly. I feel like I'm standing on a ledge, she admitted. You are not on a ledge. It feels like I could fall. You will not. How do you know? His hand slid from her waist to her cheek, thumb brushing gently along her skin. Because I am not pushing you. The certainty in that statement was grounding. He stepped back slightly. We stop here tonight. The words didn't hit like rejection anymore. They felt intentional. She nodded. Okay. He studied her reaction. You are not angry? No. You are not frustrated? A little, she admitted, a faint smile tugging at her mouth. He allowed himself the smallest hint of amusement. That is manageable. She stepped closer again, but this time not to provoke, to feel. Her hands rested lightly at his waist. He allowed it. You're not afraid either, she said quietly. Of what? Of losing control. His jaw flexed slightly. I am aware of it, he said, but you're not afraid. No. Why? Because I trust you not to weaponize it. The weight of that admission landed hard. She swallowed. I wouldn't. I know. Silence settled between them again, but this time it wasn't charged with friction. It was thick with something steadier. She had thought she wanted to see him crack. Instead, she was watching something else unfold. Mutual restraint, mutual choice, mutual trust. And that, she realized, was infinitely more intoxicating than chaos. Chapter 9. The breaking point that isn't. The shift didn't come from escalation. It came from silence. A full week after the night at his apartment, after the steadiness and the quiet grounding, Sophia walked into his office and found him arguing with a faculty member. The door was open. He didn't see her at first. He stood near the window, shoulders tight beneath his shirt, sleeves rolled high. His voice wasn't raised, but it was sharp. Controlled fury instead of cold composure. That is not what we agreed on, he said, jaw rigid. The other professor muttered something dismissive. Adrian's hand flexed at his side. The tension in his forearm was unmistakable. "I will not compromise that," he replied, voice low and lethal. Sophia had never seen him like that. Not measured, not calculated, angry. The other professor left with a curt nod, brushing past her in the doorway without noticing her at all. Adrian remained standing by the window for a long moment, back to her. She could see it in the way his shoulders rose and fell, the way his fingers flexed like he was resisting something. This wasn't the man who carefully controlled pace and pressure. This was the man he warned her about, the one without restraint. She stepped inside and shut the door softly. He turned. The moment his eyes landed on her, something shifted. Not completely, but enough. "You heard that," he said evenly. "Yes." "You should not have." "You didn't close the door." His jaw tightened slightly. "No." Silence thickened between them. She could still see the edge in him. "You're furious," she said quietly. "Yes." "At me?" "No." The answer came instantly. That mattered more than she expected. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture unpolished and raw. "Less composed, Professor. More man under strain." "This is what you wanted to see," he said suddenly. Her pulse spiked. "What?" "Cracks." She swallowed. "This isn't about me." "No," he said. "But you wanted to see what happens when restraint fractures." The air shifted. "I don't want you out of control," she said. His eyes locked onto hers. "Are you certain?" "Yes." He stepped closer, the tension in his body still palpable. "You are reacting differently right now," he observed. "I'm not turned on by this," she said bluntly. Something in his expression softened just slightly. "Good." He stepped closer again, but not to loom, to ground. "You are not seeking intensity from chaos anymore," he continued. "No." "You are concerned." "Yes." His hand came to her waist, not possessive, not heated. Steady. "You are not afraid of me," he said. "No." "You are afraid for me." The realization hit her like a blow. "Yes." The word trembled out of her. His grip tightened slightly. "That is not weakness," he said quietly. "It feels like it." "It is not." He exhaled slowly and she felt the shift, the tension bleeding out of him gradually under the weight of presence. "You wanted exposure," he said. "This is mine." Her throat tightened. "You don't like being seen angry," she said. "No." "Why?" "Because anger is unpredictable, and you don't like unpredictable." "No." The simplicity of it made her chest ache. He wasn't afraid of losing control with her. He was afraid of what that loss meant. She stepped closer without thinking. He didn't stop her. Her hands came up to his chest, palms flat against firm muscle. He was still tight, still wound. "You're not going to hurt me," she said quietly. His jaw flexed. "That is not the point." "What is?" He hesitated. That alone told her everything. "You do not understand how quickly intensity can become something else," he said finally. "Then tell me." He looked at her like he was deciding whether to open a door he had kept locked. "You want structure," he said. "Structure requires stability." "Yes. And when I am angry, I am not stable." Her pulse thudded. "You're not unstable," she said. "I am not at my best." She saw it then. The fear wasn't about her. It was about failing the frame he had built. "You think you'd lose control?" she said softly. "Yes." The honesty was brutal. She stepped closer, pressing her forehead lightly against his chest. He stilled. "You don't get to decide that for me," she said. His hands hovered for a moment before settling at her waist. "I will not risk hurting you," he said quietly. "You won't." "You cannot know that." "I do." His grip tightened slightly. "You trust me that much?" he asked. "Yes." Silence wrapped around them. The anger that had been coiled in him softened under the weight of that word. Trust. His hand slid up her back slowly, fingers spreading between her shoulder blades. "You are not chasing cracks anymore," he said. "No. You are trying to steady them." "Yes." The shift in dynamic was undeniable. She wasn't pushing for dominance. She wasn't baiting for fracture. She was holding space. He leaned down slowly, pressing his mouth to her hair. Not heated, not charged, grounded. "You are dangerous in a different way now," he murmured. Her pulse flickered. "How?" "You see me." The vulnerability in that statement landed deep. She pulled back slightly to look at him. "You're not just control," she said. "You're effort." His jaw tightened at that. "You are not afraid of seeing me imperfect," he said. "No." "And you do not recoil." "No." His hand slid from her back to her cheek, thumb brushing along her jaw. "You are not trying to escalate," he observed. "I don't want escalation right now." "What do you want?" She held his gaze. I want you to stop carrying it alone." The words hung heavy. His breath slowed. "You think you can handle that weight?" he asked quietly. "Yes." He studied her carefully. "You are not trembling," he said. "I'm not afraid. You are steady." "Yes." His hand moved to her waist again, firmer now, but not heated. "You are not reacting to intensity," he said. "You are responding to vulnerability." The distinction felt seismic. He leaned down, brushing his mouth slowly over hers. The kiss wasn't sharp. It wasn't heavy with friction. It was deeper, more deliberate. She responded without tension. No chasing, no testing, just presence. When he pulled back, his eyes were darker, but not with anger, with something heavier. "You are not pushing me toward edge," he said. "No. You are pulling me toward center." Her breath hitched. "Is that bad?" "No." His hand slid up her side slowly, thumb pressing into the curve of her waist. "You asked what happens when restraint fractures," he said. "Yes. This is it." She frowned slightly. "This doesn't feel fractured. It is not." His thumb traced slow arcs. "It is tested." The difference mattered. "You're not losing control," she said. "No." "You're choosing it." "Yes." His hand tightened slightly at her waist, "and I am choosing not to." Her pulse roared. "You don't have to prove anything to me," she said. His gaze sharpened. "And you don't have to be unbreakable." "I am not unbreakable." "Then let me see it." He stilled. She wasn't asking for chaos. She wasn't asking for dominance. She was asking for humanity. His hand slid to the back of her neck again, fingers threading gently through her hair. "You are not impressed by strength alone," he said. "No. You are impressed by choice." "Yes." He leaned down slowly, pressing a firmer kiss to her lips this time. Not rough, not restrained, just heavier. She felt the shift. The anger had transformed into something else, intensity without volatility. He pulled back first as always, but this time it didn't feel like control. It felt like mutual understanding. "You are no longer chasing edge," he said. "No, you are standing in the center of it." "Yes." His thumb brushed lightly along her cheek. "And that," he murmured, "is far more dangerous." Her pulse thudded. "Why?" "Because now I care what happens to you." The words landed hard. She didn't flinch. "I care what happens to you," she said, silence. Heavy. Real. He didn't step back. He didn't close the distance either. They stood there, hands resting at each other's waists, not escalating, not retreating. For the first time, it didn't feel like a lesson. It felt like a choice. And neither of them were running from it anymore. Chapter 10. What We Choose. The storm didn't come with shouting. It came with a door left unlocked. Sophia hadn't planned to go to Adrian's apartment that night. She told herself she needed distance, space to think, space to breathe without the constant pull of him in her bloodstream. That lasted 3 hours. By 10:30, she was outside his building, pulse hammering, the cool night air doing nothing to settle the heat under her skin. She wasn't here to test him. She wasn't here to provoke. She was here because something had shifted between them in his office earlier that week. Something raw. Something unguarded. And she couldn't ignore it. She knocked once. The door opened almost immediately. He wasn't dressed for company. Dark t-shirt, soft from wear, stretched across his chest. Low-slung lounge pants. Barefoot again. Hair slightly mussed. His eyes darkened the second he saw her. "You did not text," he said. "No." "You did not ask." "No." Silence. "You came anyway." "Yes." He stepped aside without another word. The door shut behind her with a soft click. This time the air felt different. He wasn't coiled with anger. He wasn't carefully structured in professor mode. He looked tired and honest. "You look like you're about to say something reckless," he said quietly. "Probably," she replied. He watched her carefully. "You are not here to escalate," he observed. "No." "You are not here to provoke." "No." She stepped closer. "I'm here because I don't want this to just be lessons," she said. His jaw tightened slightly. "It has never just been lessons." "You know what I mean." He did. He walked slowly toward her, stopping just within reach. "You are asking for something beyond structure," he said. "Yes, and that is dangerous." "Why?" "Because structure is controlled." "And this isn't?" His eyes held hers. "This," he said quietly, "is personal." Her pulse thudded hard. "Good," she said. His hand came to her waist automatically, fingers pressing into her hip. The contact was familiar now. Grounding. "You think you are ready for that," he said. "I am." "You do not hesitate." "I don't want to." His thumb traced a slow arc along her waist. "You are no longer chasing cracks," he murmured. "No." "You are choosing closeness." "Yes." He exhaled slowly. That is more destabilizing. Her hands moved to his chest, palms flat, feeling the steady rhythm beneath. I don't want destabilizing, she said. I want real. His jaw flexed. Real is not tidy. I'm not asking for tidy. He stepped closer, their bodies brushing fully for the first time without hesitation. This wasn't tension building to edge. This was presence. You understand, he said quietly, that once this crosses into something beyond structure, it cannot return to theory. Yes, you cannot hide behind research. I don't want to. His hand slid from her waist to her lower back, pulling her firmly against him. The contact was solid, deliberate, her breath hitched. You are not trembling, he observed. I'm not afraid. You should be. Of what? Of caring. The word landed deep. I already do, she said softly. Silence, heavy, charged. His hand tightened at her back. You are not asking me to dominate you tonight, he said. No, you are asking me to meet you. Yes, his mouth found hers. The kiss was different. No testing, no measured restraint. Still controlled, but deeper, more deliberate. He wasn't pacing to teach, he was pacing to feel. Her hands slid up his chest to his shoulders, fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt. He didn't correct her. He didn't steady her. He let her grip. The shift was subtle but monumental. When he deepened the kiss, it wasn't to demonstrate power. It was because he wanted to. She felt it. His hand slid from her back up into her hair, fingers threading firmly through it. Not corrective, anchoring. He broke the kiss slowly, resting his forehead against hers. You are not asking permission, he said quietly. No. You are not waiting. No. And I am not setting pace. Her pulse thundered. You're choosing it, she said. Yes. The difference was everything. His hand slid down her back again, fingers pressing into the curve of her waist before drifting lower to her hip. You feel different, he murmured. How? Less guarded. I'm tired of guarding. His thumb brushed along the seam of her dress. You are risking something, he said. Yes, so am I. Her breath stuttered. You're not afraid of losing control with me, she said. I am. She stilled. But not because I think I will hurt you, he continued. Because I think I might need you. The confession landed like a punch. She stepped closer, pressing her body fully against his. You already do, she said. His grip tightened. That is not something I say lightly. I know. His mouth claimed hers again, deeper this time. Not frantic, not chaotic, intense. His hands moved with purpose, mapping the lines of her body over the fabric of her dress. Waist, back, hip. She responded without calculation, without trying to manage how she looked, without bracing. When he lifted her slightly, guiding her backward toward the couch, she didn't tense. She didn't test. She let him. He lowered her carefully, body hovering over hers, hands braced on either side of her. Not trapping. Choosing. You are not overwhelmed, he said quietly. No. You are not chasing edge. No, you are here. Yes. He leaned down, kissing her again. Slower. Heavier. His body pressing against hers fully now. The friction was undeniable. But it wasn't frantic. It was intentional. Her hands slid beneath the hem of his shirt, feeling warm skin beneath her palms. He inhaled sharply. Not out of loss of control. Out of sensation. You are not asking, he murmured. I don't need to. His mouth curved faintly. No. He shifted his weight slightly, one hand sliding to cup her jaw, thumb brushing along her cheek. You wanted to understand power, he said. Yes. This is it, her pulse roared. This doesn't feel like power, she whispered. It is. How? It is mutual. The word hit harder than dominance ever had. He wasn't above her. He wasn't containing her. He was with her. His hand slid down her body slowly, tracing the line of her waist again before stopping at her hip. You are not surrendering, he said. No. You are choosing. Yes. He kissed her again, deeper, slower. When he finally pulled back, breathing heavier now, eyes darker, he didn't step away. He stayed, hovering, present. You understand this changes things, he said quietly. Yes. You are no longer exploring structure? No. You are choosing me. The weight of that hung heavy. Yes, she said, silence. His thumb brushed lightly along her jaw. And I am choosing you, he replied. No hesitation, no lecture, just truth. Her chest tightened. You don't have to promise anything, she said. I am not promising permanence, he replied. I'm not asking for it. I am promising presence. The simplicity of it made her throat ache. He leaned down again, kissing her softer this time. Not claiming, not testing, just feeling. When he finally sat back, pulling her with him so she was seated across his lap, arms wrapped around his shoulders, there was no rush, No edge to chase, no fracture to seek. Just heat, weight, breath. You will still challenge me, he said. Yes. You will still push, probably. His mouth curved faintly. And I will still set boundaries. Yes. She brushed her thumb along his jaw. And sometimes you'll let them slip, she said quietly. His eyes darkened. Perhaps. The air between them felt thick with possibility. Unresolved. Unfinished. She rested her forehead against his. This isn't over, she murmured. No, he agreed. His hand slid slowly along her back, firm and grounding. It is not a lesson anymore, he said. No. It is a choice. Her pulse steadied. Yes. And in the quiet of his apartment, bodies pressed close, tension transformed into something deeper and far more dangerous. They didn't rush toward an ending. They let it remain open, because neither of them were done learning, and neither of them were done choosing.